Now, when you discover that your partner has been having an affair, it feels like you're dying. It literally feels like death, and that the world is ending and that your whole life has shattered. I want you to know that that's a very, very normal response, although obviously it's not true. But in this video, I want to tell you why it feels that way and how you can begin to start to feel better and move out of that space. Hey, my name's Coach Adaeze. I am an affair recovery specialist. I work with couples to help them rebuild trust, restore intimacy, and create the marriage they've always desired to have, even after an affair. And I know exactly what it is you're going through right now. That feeling of deep grief and despair was exactly where my husband and I were about 15 years ago. Since then, we've been able to create a marriage that we describe as our greatest blessing. And I tell you all of that just so that you know you're in a safe place with somebody who has literally walked in your shoes. Whether that's you as the betrayer, you as the betrayed person, you're in the right place. Now, if you are the betrayer, you're the person that stepped out of the marriage, it's still so important for you to be here because you need to hear and know, get an indication of what is going on within your partner. A lot of the behaviors that they're exhibiting, the things that they're doing, the way that they're reacting is a response to the level of trauma that they have received. And if you consider the fact that it actually does feel like dying, then that is really going to help you to know how to navigate with your partner at this stage with compassion, with patience, and with empathy. Now, as an affair recovery specialist working with couples dealing with the impact of an affair, I hear this statement all the time. Coach Adaeze, it feels like death. It feels like I am dying. But here's what's really going on. It is because your nervous system has literally gone into shock. So when we talk about affairs and we talk about this feeling of the heart being broken, that feeling is actually your nervous system receiving this experience as trauma. And suddenly the sense of safety has gone. That trauma is the complete collapse of safety. Consider your world. You've got it set up. You're thinking about what life is going to be like in the future. You're building together. You've let your walls down. You've become vulnerable. You're linking with this person heart to heart, physically, spiritually, mentally. There's a deep connection. There's deep intimacy. And this has become your safe place. This has become your world. You understand it. It makes sense to you. It might not be perfect, but this is something that you guys are building. And all of a sudden, boom, it blows up with this discovery, with this trauma. You are going to go into shock. Your nervous system goes into shock. It literally is as if your whole world feels like it was a lie. And the very person who you felt was to protect your heart is the one that breaks it. And so what you're feeling is very normal in an abnormal space. This is not a normal space for you to be in, but your response that is coming from your body, your mind, your spirit, your emotions, all working together, all at the same time. Alarm bells are going off. That is why you feel like dying. It physically impacts the body in such a way that it feels like dying. And that leads me on to the second reason why it feels that way, and it is grief, right? Infidelity impacts the brain in the same way as grief from the death of a loved one. So what do I mean by that? I mean that if you had discovered that somebody you loved dearly, a family member, a very close friend, had passed away, you would be overcome with a sense of grief. And that is exactly the same thing that happens when you discover infidelity. That same part of the brain is lit up, and you'll experience what can only be described as is grief, that sense of loss, that sense of confusion. It's an overwhelming distress. And what you're grieving here is what you had, because that's gone. The trust that you guys had, the trust that you built this marriage upon, has been eradicated, completely destroyed. So this marriage, this relationship now has also collapsed. Death. this person that you trusted now, this connection that you have, this intimacy that you had is gone. Obviously, your walls are up. You're afraid. They're not the person that you thought they were. Dead. The future that you were seeing with this person, the plans you were making, this hope that you had of what you were building as you looked ahead into your lives together, dead. And so, of course, it feels like death. Of course, it feels like you're dying, because so many aspects of this relationship has been killed by the revelation of the affair. And that combination of grief, fear, and betrayal, again, super overwhelming, and can put people in a place where they literally do not know what to do, how to respond. It can almost feel like an out-of-body experience. And this is one of the reasons why it's really good for the betrayer to hear this, because when you're seeing your partner react in certain ways, you can understand and have the level of sympathy that you would have as if they had lost a loved one. So if they'd come to you and said, hey, you know, my special person, this family member had died, and you were observing them react in traumatic ways, sometimes quite destructive ways, as much as you would want to carry them out of that, you would understand exactly why, and you would give them grace, and you would give them empathy, and you'd give them space. You would understand, right? That is what is going on right now. And now I want you to know this. Because what tends to happen when we're feeling so bad is that we say, oh my gosh, I want to get out of this feeling really, really quickly. And you might have people saying to you, oh, you've just got to forgive, just heal, get over this. And I want you to know that that isn't the path that you have to go on. Rushing forgiveness, forcing decisions is not what needs to happen at this stage. Can you imagine trying to make a lifelong decision when your emotions are in the most heightened state, when you're experiencing a sense of grief, when you are overwhelmed with the emotions, when you are feeling lost, confused, and afraid? It is the worst time to make any decisions about whether you're staying or whether you're leaving or what's going on tomorrow. Right now, you're in survival mode, and the only thing that you need to be focused on is, how can I calm my nervous system and start to feel a little bit more safe from within? And notice I say a little bit, because this sense of safety is going to be a gradual thing. But what we want to do is get you out of the highest point of panic and bring you down a little bit, so that you can feel that little bit more grounded, and so that you can actually breathe. And so what you need right now is support. What you need right now is space to breathe. What you need right now is care. You will have a lot of things going around your mind, a lot of questions. And it is okay to begin to ask those questions. But just bear in mind, if anybody's coming to you and saying, right now, you need to forgive, or you need to make some decisions. What do you want? What do you want to do? At this point, it's okay for you to say, I don't know, and I'm not even thinking about that right now. Again, for the betrayer, I understand from your point of view that all you want to know is, can we make this better? Do you want to stay so that we can move out of this awful space? And of course you want to save them from the pain, and you want to do that as quickly as possible. But one of the worst mistakes you can make is rushing them through, rushing them to forgive you, rushing them to understand, rushing for them to get your point of view, rushing for them to give you a decision as to whether they're staying or leaving, whether you're working on this or not working on it. This is not the time. The time right now is, how can I create safety, help to support safety? That's all that the nervous system recognizes right now. At this stage, what the nervous system is in a state of fight, flight, or freeze, right? And then that might be what you're seeing a lot of. So your partner may be coming at you heavily, fighting, right? Then the next moment is they want to get away, or they want you to get away. So you'll be hearing words like, get out, leave me alone, I don't want anything to do with you. Or then you might be seeing a stage of just numbness. They're not saying anything, they're not doing anything, and you might think, okay, are we okay? Is this getting better? And before you know it, the cycle starts again. That literally is the nervous system trying to figure out what the best thing here is to do. And I want you to consider that it's like you're in a cage, right? And you're in a cage with the lion who just took a big chunk out of your arm, like bit you and it hurt. It was the greatest pain you've ever experienced. And usually in a situation like that, you'd run away, right? And you'd get as far away from that lion as possible. But in this situation, you've got kids with the lion, and you've got a house with the lion, and you've got to live with the lion, and the lion's asking you questions like, are we going to stay friends? And can you just forgive me and get over this? This is the confusion. This is why it's such a difficult position to be in, right? Again, I'm telling you all of this so that you can have an indication as to how to operate in this season with your partner. Now, how long does this last for? How long is a piece of string? Well, let me tell you that the more space, the more care, the more empathy, the more patience, and the more compassion that is offered in this season, the less that we rush, the less that we push for forgiveness, the less that we place the responsibility of making this big life decision on the person, the sooner we can move out of this stage. So I've seen people be able to move out of this stage within a month, but then I've seen people who have stayed in this stage for months after, and it really depends on how it's dealt with in this early stage. Now, if this is where you are and you're confused as to how to navigate through it in a way that sets you up for the next stage in the healing journey, then you definitely want to jump into my support group. There's a course in there for this stage of the healing journey, which is called rupture to repair. And it gives you a step-by-step framework of how to navigate in this season, fully explains what's going on with both the betrayed partner and the betrayer, and how you guys can begin to set yourselves up for the next stage in the healing journey, which is where you start to build some level of connection. Within that support group, you're obviously also going to get the live coaching and 3 one-to-one sessions with me over the next 3 months so that I can hold your hand through this very, very difficult season. If that's something that you want to do, hit the link in the description. As usual, if you've got any questions, feel free to pop them in the comment section below and I'll do my best to address them.